Sometimes it's good to be early, but our show starts at a specific time. You should remember that. Let's get started then, shall we?
Dillon, I don't give a what you think about a co-host and freshen up my show.
It might not be flashy, but sometimes you just gotta toss another person to make a statement.
My show's about the people's podcast. Everyone has a voice. I don't need a co-host. Go listen to one of the other 5,000 shows with a co-host because they don't have a mouth like the big guy.
Opie, are you a career killer with Tim Sabian, yourself, and many others?
Be myself. Never had real issues with those people. They just understood that I was a different bird. The rest of them, though, I'm like, oh, shut up. I'm paying your salary because the ratings are so good, so shut up.
Right?
Live from
Somewhere.
it's
Dillon.
Good whatever to you, whenever you are watching this episode of Cohost Auditions. I am your co-host, Dillon. This is my self-taped audition to be the second mic to someone who is monetized. I myself am monetized, but I'm just a small fish. It'd be nice to get one of these big fishes to let me in their pond. We do have super chats, super thanks, and member-only streams coming up this Monday. We will be watching something off Fanboy Flix's public domain movie playlist for members only. We got 4 to choose from. Maybe I'll throw up a survey to see which one we do. Thanks for sticking with me with the technical difficulties this morning. Not quite TBS late, but it was a little late because of the technical difficulties. Today, our host is SciFi Safari. This fellow looks at beings that do not exist and goes over the biology of it. It's been long-standing in the world of talk shows, so on and so forth, that you have a zoologist. It's been a while since we had our zoologist on. Lindsay Nicole? Yes, Lindsay Nicole. I was a fan of hers. Maybe we should bring her back one day. But today, we've got someone, SciFi Safari, talking about graboids.
Gargantuan worms that lurk just beneath the surface of the earth, waiting for the slightest, nearly imperceptible tremor in the loose soil above, blind bipedal terrors that stalk the land and sky.
Blinded by pedos? Oh good, they won't come after us adults.
Indeed, the versatility of the graboid and its offspring is unparalleled, with a life cycle that defies known scientific categorization in both this universe and all the others I have so far seen.
And unfortunately, one universe he hasn't got to is that of the Borg, A. Smith, so we won't be seeing 7 of 9 or any of the other Borg from Sci-Fi Safari. Hope he gets to that part of the jungle one of these days.
I'm getting ahead of myself. I am Dr. Felix Nebula, and I know what you're thinking. Isn't it dangerous? Do we really want to land on this Earth's soil and risk being swallowed alive just to gain biological, physiological, and behavioral knowledge?
People who are into vor definitely want to be swallowed up.
About these terrifying creatures? The answer, of course, is yes. Buckle in, dear traveler, and welcome aboard the dimension-hopping bioship Manta. We'll be
Is that the spaceship from Farscape? Does that spaceship live? Is it alive like the Farscape spaceship?
sending quick.
First time that I've had a cartoon as a host. Have I had a puppet as a host before? No, I don't believe so. I had Tooneytown Wrestling as a clip towards the end of the episode, but not a full-on host.
The ship's sensors have just picked up unusual seismic activity in Nevada, just outside a town known as Perfection.
If I remember correctly, Michael Gross is the only actor to come back again and again. I think that we had Kevin Bacon for a single movie. I remember seeing the second one where we saw the baby graboids that actually had legs, but they just kept on making those movies and releasing them straight to DVD at a lower and lower budget.
Now,
You gotta see what the graboids look like when you take all the money away from the production in, like, number 5. Actually, they went back to the Wild Wild West. Michael Gross's ancestors were there to fight the graboids.
entering this Earth's atmosphere,
Excellent.
conducting preliminary scans.
Thank you, Manta. As we descend, allow me to provide what background information I was able to glean from historical records and what were probably supposed to be classified eyewitness reports. At first glance, the isolated settlement of Perfection appears to be a kind of oasis in the vast stretches of Nevada's Badlands. And I suppose that it is, but not in a good way. Manta has traced the
Anything that isn't a pure desert in that location is perfection. Fucked up that sentence, didn't I?
first modern account to the late 19th century, when miners and settlers described bizarre tremors and sudden sinkholes appearing overnight. But it wasn't until the late 20th century
His balls are on a weird part of his pecker vagina there.
that these tales gained more concrete evidence. Local ranchers reported livestock disappearing without a trace, and strange disturbances in the land that defied
That was just Michael Gross fucking the cows and disposing of the evidence, because he gets a very dominant hardcore kinky with those cows. You'd think he would just be able to leave them and no one would know the difference, but not when Michael Gross is done with that cow sexploitation.
geological explanations. These accounts, while largely brushed aside by the larger world, took on an almost mythic status within the community. Then, in the 1990s, it appears that a series of intense encounters and bizarre testimonials from certain residents transformed Perfection from an
Well, look at Kevin Bacon. He's got a concussion. You see right there where that is. We can't trust his opinion.
obscure town to the epicenter of a
But we can't see his invisible penis in Hollow Man.
biological enigma. Word spread about the existence of subterranean behemoths, turning the small settlement into a
Behemoths?
hotspot for both scientists
Can you say behemoth a few more times? That really entertained me more than it should have.
subterranean behemoths, turning the small settlement into a hotspot for both scientists
I would hate to see a behem butterfly.
and thrill seekers.
None so refined as we are, I'm certain.
Of
Chris Jericho and Lance Storm?
course not. Now, this
That is a deep cut. If Regal Salvatore isn't here, I don't think a single person got that thrill seekers joke.
wasn't the only location on this planet to have alleged encounters with these monsters, but it does appear to be where the modern accounts originated. I'm not certain whether these encounters led to a knowledge of these creatures' existence among the wider population, or if they
Oh, look at it there, obscuring it, just like on movies with 2K and Maniac Cop 3. We saw his face for about a second in one scene, so I don't think they put Robert Zadar in full Maniac Cop outfit and makeup, except for that single day on Maniac Cop 3. A lot of fun watching that. Maniac Cop is on fire for the entire third act.
were dismissed as some kind of hoax. In any case, I can say that we will be among the first to record the detailed biology of these so-called graboids. Classified in the genus Chideris, what I will refer to as
It does look like the same worms as from Beetlejuice, because it opens its mouth and it's got more mouths ready to attack you. Very unique tongue that it has there.
graboids are actually just one part of a three-part life cycle.
But it would also make a fantastic dildo for a lady looking for those little bumps there. I think we need to get our lady a graboid dildo for Halloween.
The giant worms, as they are sometimes thought of, are the true graboids. The Shrieker and Blaster, as I will call it, make up the other two.
So the Blaster must have came around after Tremors 2. The Shrieker was definitely the younger one from Tremors 2. The Shrieker, I guess they're like, we need to do something different here for the straight-to-DVD in the trilogy of Tremors.
Now, for ordinary scientists, it would be difficult to find, much less obtain, an intact specimen. Fortunately,
I am equipped with advanced imaging technology.
Hey, you already got a second mic. Am I working for a third mic at best, or can we send Manta over there to the third mic position?
technology and an omni-grab array that can pull these creatures, unharmed, straight into an observation bay for closer study.
Precisely. Please proceed, Manta. Ah, here we are. As you can see, a true graboid can reach lengths of 10 meters, a width of up to 2 meters, and a weight of nearly
Say it in American.
20 tons.
Well, 1 meter is about a yard, which is about 3 feet, right? So 10 to 30 feet.
They are covered
If I remember my community college class correctly.
in a dense, leathery carapace studded with spike-like protuberances several inches long. This protective layer not only provides defense against external threats, but also aids in subterranean navigation.
AIDS.
But clearly, one of the most distinct features of the graboid is its head. It appears to be encased within a fortified, plated sheath and houses a truly unique adaptation. A 3-part jaw that apparently operates without a rigid structure. The advantage of the flexibility this
That's a good puppet.
provides is twofold. First, it allows for a wide gape and enhanced maneuverability through compact
Oh, yes. It allows for a wide gape. I was right, folks. Get that for your girl for Halloween.
soil. Second, within the graboid's mouth lies one of its most intriguing features: 3 oral tentacles. These structures are muscular hydrostats, similar in function to an elephant's trunk or an octopus's arm. They possess intrinsic muscles that
But they all have biting jaws as well. It's a unique tongue they have.
provide a range of motion and control that would be impossible with a rigid skeletal system. Each tentacle is tipped with bifurcated extensions, something like the mandibles of some insects, allowing for grasping of prey. These mini
It does. The head of it kind of looks like a cockroach type of material. What would you call that? Chitinous material? Or is that in lobsters and crabs? The chitin.
mouths have dental-like formations made of keratinized material, almost like their own dentition. Sensing vibrations, these tentacles shoot out to snatch prey, dragging it to the central gullet. How far outward
Snatch prey, so it is not interested in eating men at all.
do they reach, Manta?
I've recorded these tentacles extending up to 30 feet.
Fascinating. That's a significant reach outside its immediate vicinity.
The Japanese would be interested in those tentacles. They make some really fun videos starring women and tentacled creatures.
And anyone unlucky enough to be grabbed by these disturbing appendages will quickly find themselves swallowed whole. The movement of these tentacles is coordinated by a complex network of nerves controlled by a highly specialized section of the graboid brain devoted specifically to their control. On the
How many nerves are in there? Is it like the pecker as well? Does it work both as a sexual type of tool and a eating tool?
subject of the brain, preliminary scans and behavioral analyses suggest that these creatures possess a surprising neurological complexity.
Thank you, Rini. The exoskeleton of a cockroach is what its head looks like.
Their ability to engage in what appears to be coordinated hunting strategies implies a level of social intelligence that we don't often associate with subterranean life forms. More specifically, scans have also revealed a cranial cavity in the foremost section of the graboid's anatomy. The neural tissue density here is quite impressive and indicative of advanced processing capabilities. Indeed, given the creature
So they're like octopuses, where when we look at the biology of them, this should be a really dumb species, but it's one of the most intelligent that we come across.
habitat,
Each of those tentacles operate on its own, like a
it is clear that their brain is
octopi.
specially suited for spatial and environmental awareness within a three-dimensional matrix. In relation to the brain, locomotion itself is fascinating. The graboid moves with a concert of muscular and neurochemical coordination that requires rapid neural feedback. The cerebellum equivalent must be highly specialized, processing information from its multitude of mechanoreceptors. However, the brain seems to lack any optic processing regions. This, of course, aligns with the creature's anatomy, where eyesight is non-existent. Instead, there's an
Except for when they are a child. I remember that from Tremors 2, and they had to get themselves, it was a fire extinguisher. We got to move past them and just fire extinguisher. How the heck would you say that? Fire extinguisher. Couldn't have been Kevin Bacon. He didn't make it to the sequel.
expanded lobe we
That's how they
theorize
snuck
is
beyond
devoted
the little baby forms that actually
to
have eyesight.
processing vibrations and sound waves. We also see, just beneath their carapace, clusters of specialized subdermal vibrational receptors known as sensory papillae.
A carapace, so they can carry things around with theirs, unlike humans.
These highly sensitive mechanoreceptors appear to be finely tuned to detect even the faintest of ground vibrations. Even better, they are linked to intricate amplification chambers filled with a unique viscous fluid, each serving to magnify the detected vibrations and enabling the graboid to discern not only the intensity, but also the direction of any
the integrity and the intelligence. It becomes Kurt Angle after a while.
Seismic disturbances. This in turn triggers an innate predatory reflex arc, allowing the graboid to react almost instantaneously. This lends directly to their ambush method of hunting, wherein they propel themselves through loose soil with speeds that surpass even the quickest human.
It looks like you got this clip from a VHS.
Wherein they propel themselves through loose soil with
tracking.
speeds that surpass even the quickest human sprinter.
I've even discovered first-hand accounts from Perfection Valley, where individuals chose to face harsh elements atop rock islands or utility poles, rather than the certainty of being devoured from below.
Truly tragic. And this showcases precisely how deadly these creatures are. Worse, they are intensely patient. Now, we have yet to determine
They're like the crocodiles of underground. Ambush hunters.
the precise lifespan of the graboid, but it appears that they reproduce asexually, and once they reach maturity, they will inevitably give birth. A singularly
This is the species for the Zoomers, who are becoming more and more disgusted by sex, as we've seen with, who was it, Haley? Someone really being, like, very asexual young person. So they would really be into these graboids. They speak the Zoomers language. Or is it the alphas? Well, we're getting more asexual with every generation after X.
fascinating and vomit-inducing event. It isn't clear exactly what triggers a graboid to reproduce. It may be some internal metabolic cue, or simply a factor of aging. In any case, at some point, a mature graboid will simply explode, bringing forth between 3 to 6 bipedal horrors.
Was that the beginning of the second one? I forget the beginning. Like I can imagine that being a fun scene if they're all very afraid of the graboid, but then it just explodes. Oh, we won the day. Nope. You've got 3 little small graboids with legs and
We'll
eyes.
need to study these offspring in detail as well.
And I've already located a specimen and brought it on board.
Fantastic.
Ray DeVito does need to stick around for just a little bit longer, Captain Miserable. The Zoomers and Alphas might be into his asexual type of humor, unlike us.
As is likely clear from their method of birth, shriekers, as they are known, are not a metamorphosed form of the graboid. They gestate within, eventually bursting out and killing their parent. They do bear some morphological similarities, of course, most notably.
So the reverse of bed bugs, because bed bugs, they have, what do they call it? Violent insemination. They do not look for the hole to put it in. They just jam it in anywhere in the flesh and make cumsies. Where these, anywhere that they can find, kind of like wasps spouting out of a caterpillar.
In the head and mouth structures, though the tentacles of the mouth cavity appear to have fused into one. They are much smaller than their parent, at roughly 2 meters long and 3 feet tall, but what they lack in size they more than make up for in agility and speed. This is perhaps the most fascinating aspect of these creatures' life cycle. Limbless subterranean organisms giving direct birth to bipedal terrestrial offspring. And indeed, the graboid's genetic blueprint
Reverse frogs, if you will. Tadpoles ain't got no limbs and frogs do.
exhibits a kind of dual coding, a primary code for its own limbless form, and a secondary for the formation of the bipedal shriekers. This may sound unusual, and that's probably because it is. Still, this dual coding is reminiscent of polyphenism, a well-documented phenomenon where
Well, poly I definitely know because of amory, multi-loves. Polyphemery. Multiple femurs?
wherein certain environmental cues can cause a single genotype to produce multiple phenotypes.
Ooh, multiple genotypes. Those are flat broke. You don't want multiple genotypes. Multiple phenotypes, you might have a couple of bucks to your name.
You may have seen this in some social insects such as honeybees, who may become workers or queens depending on the food they receive while in the larval stage. Back within the graboid, as the shrieker embryo matures, podogenic nodes within this sac rapidly proliferate and influenced
Hey, Beavis. He said sack.
by specific morphogens, elongate and bifurcate to form the shrieker's limbs. Parallel to this limb evolution, there must
Oh, this is the shrieker. The rocket one. That's the one I was unfamiliar with.
also be an intricate rewiring of neural networks and muscular systems in order to prep the shrieker for immediate terrestrial activity post-emergence. In any case, once the offspring have erupted, we see a streamlined organism with 2 robust legs, each with 3 articulated joints, and
It's got legs, and it knows how to use them.
culminating in
Bring in Stacy Keebler. She's the only one that can compete with legs as such.
3 clawed feet. But beyond their limbs, sensory adaptation in shriekers is particularly intriguing. With a primary thermal apparatus atop their carapace, they are fine-tuned to detect heat, especially in the range of 97 to
Looks like they're revealing their brain right there. It looks like they have sensory organs on their brain.
107 degrees. And this
Yep, right there it was. That was the big scene where he's all cooled down from the fire extinguisher, but he's in the desert.
heat,
So his body
especially
heat's
in the
coming
range
through.
of 97 to 107 degrees. And this becomes their primary hunting mechanism. Like their parents, they lack any true visual organs. Producing sound, however, is not an issue. Indeed, they're called shriekers for a reason. But the high-pitched noise they emit is, of course, not used for communication due to a complete lack of auditory organs. Instead, this iconic
You look at the graboids on paper, and they're just a shitty organism that shouldn't make its way through. Lacking sight, lacking hearing. They make it work, though. Life finds a way.
shriek is actually an auditory byproduct of the emission of heat from their mouths, thermal radiation that serves as a beacon for other shriekers, alerting them to potential food sources. Now, once they reach maturity, their primary role pivots to a singular purpose: procreation. Clearly, shriekers also reproduce asexually, and the growth of
Oh, procreation. So they do believe in the Bible. We might be able to catch them on some religious mumbo-jumbo to get them to stop eating people.
additional shriekers is set into motion within a unique organ that seems to blend the functionalities of a stomach and a uterus. Offspring attached to this organ's lining
Oh, just like birds and ducks. Instead of having 2 organs, they have 1. Except for them, it's the butthole and the vagina. So ducks that are into anal, they're doing their job to keep the species going, because the butt is the vag in ducks.
ensuring nourishment as they develop.
I've never quite seen that design of a vagina. Have we ever seen a monster looking like that with its eyes sticking out on stalks and its trunk right there? Then that's a solid monster design.
Of course, the simultaneous operation of digestion and gestation in a singular organ requires a highly specialized and compartmentalized structure to prevent digestive enzymes from harming the developing offspring. Indeed, the shrieker's organ does exhibit such compartmentalization, with one area dedicated to the breakdown and absorption of nutrients and another sterile section where the development of shriekers occurs. This organ likely contains cells that can switch from a digestive function to a reproductive one upon reaching a specific nutritional threshold. When this
Ducks indeed are adorable little creatures, but they are fucking evil, Captain Miserable. The duck penis is an odd. It's even weirder looking than the pig penis, which we all know, of course, because ducks. I can't say that word over here on YouTube. They like surprise sex, or what ducks like doing. So the duck vagina has also evolved to combat against the weird duck penis. So a lot of strange things in the duck culture, including the butthole vagina combo.
occurs, a shrieker initiates a process both fascinating and disturbing. It expands its mouth to an extreme width and proceeds to deposit a near-mature fetus onto the ground. Moments after, this offspring
Just like prom night.
exhibits rapid growth and progressive maturation. Now, in mammals, including humans, there are of course instances in
For as much as she was starving herself to fit into that prom dress, you would not think that that fetus would come out alive, but, that was a fetus that really wanted to live.
which twins develop in the womb. But in some cases, one twin is essentially absorbed by its sibling, often surviving as a mere clump of tissue, rarely even possessing rudimentary structures like bones or teeth. For shriekers, it seems that a similar yet distinct phenomenon occurs. The shrieker that erupted from a graboid is effectively the dominant offspring.
And I guess we're not going to get to graboid penises because Sci-Fi Safari has already pointed out that to our knowledge, graboids are asexual, and just when it's time for them to die, they reproduce shortly before. The corkscrewed penis and corkscrewed vagina are, it's more combating against the surprise sex of those corkscrew organs, and they still get it done.
And how
Even when they don't want it.
houses its sibling inside itself. As this parent shrieker continues its intake of food, the lesser developed siblings gestate, grow, and eventually differentiate from their dominant counterpart. Observations indicate that a single
It's funny, Captain Miserable. I've never seen Duck Duck Goose with the old goose underneath. You'd think as perverts we would have played that game of Duck Duck Goose.
shrieker harbors multiple such developing fetuses within its specialized organ. This is partly why they're so dangerous. One can quickly become a dozen, and you get the idea. But as many unfortunate residents of this universe have discovered, the life cycle of these vicious creatures doesn't end with the shrieker. Yes, it's true. Somehow, they
This is new information to me. So let's see what happened in Tremors 3.
become even
I imagine they still had money if they're still designing different monsters in Tremors 3. As we saw in Maniac Cop 3, the opening scene to where we get something action-packed was just a recap of the last movie, where they already filmed and spent the money on that big action sequence.
more interesting. When a shrieker undergoes a particular biological, hormonal, or environmental trigger, a riveting metamorphic event ensues. Over the span of approximately 12 hours, the shrieker begins to molt, something like a snake or a cicada shedding its skin. The outcome of this
Oh, maybe this was in Tremors 2, and I'm just not remembering their metamorphosis.
transformation
Or they just didn't live long enough. They got on killing them shriekers real quick in Tremors 2, maybe.
yields a creature colloquially known as a blaster.
Actually, I believe they're referred to as
Close enough. This new phase of the graboid life cycle retains the iconic carapace and tripartite jaw seen in its predecessors, but in the blaster, these attributes appear more gracile than either of them. The reason for this streamlined appearance is immediately
Asshole? They appear more asshole?
tripartite jaw seen in
They're
its predecessors, but in the
Gracile?
blaster, these attributes appear more gracile than either of them.
I have no idea what that word you said there is. They're more asshole than other features.
The reason for this streamlined appearance is immediately clear. While the previous phase grew legs, this one
Does this one fly? Is that what these are for? Is that for flying? Is that what they did in Tremors 3?
has wings.
Have you
That's what they did in Tremors 3.
determined a trigger for this change, Doctor?
Excellent question. At the risk of boring our valued traveler, allow me a brief digression. As you can see, the transformation from a shrieker to a blaster involves significant morphological changes, a point to which we'll return momentarily. The same is true of graboids giving rise
This is kind of bullshit biology, Tremors folks. In its second form, it should really start to lose its feet. I call bullshit.
to shriekers, and needless to say, these changes demand a substantial amount of energy. It's likely that only upon consuming a critical amount of food and storing sufficient energy can a shrieker undergo these energy-intensive transformations.
Observations do seem to support this. There have been documented instances where an increase in shrieker feeding activity precedes the transformation into a blaster.
Exactly.
I turn into a blaster every day, sometimes twice a day.
Now, as we've seen, the ability to
3-4 times a day if I'm really bored and don't want to go outside.
fly is a blaster's most distinguishing trait, though perhaps fly isn't
Yeah, that definitely was not in Tremors 2. This is new to me, flying tremors, which kind of defeats the point. It's tremors underneath you, but whatever. You need to do something for Tremors 3, and you still had money, so you created a flying creature. Nicely done. You didn't go the lazy route.
quite the right word. Its wings, one on each flank and including a tail fan, appear to be adapted from the dermal protrusions of the first phase, though greatly elongated and with membranous interconnections reminiscent of the modified ribs of the Draco lizard. But while the musculature surrounding and supporting these wings is not enough to generate independent lift, in gliding they are surprisingly agile.
Why don't you share what propels them into the sky in the first place, Doctor?
Yes, I was
Did
just
it make
getting
a big jump? I actually saw that on Ancient Species. There was one that had like springy legs and then went up into the air. Not related to the pterodactyl. It didn't have the springy legs. They had more of the glidey wings of the pterodactyl.
to that. This, our dear traveler, is perhaps the most awe-inspiring thing of all. Blasters possess a biological rocket mechanism that launches them skyward at
A biological rocket. They could have just had springy legs, but it is a biological rocket. I'm starting to think that the people who made up these tremors weren't thinking it all the way through,
will, somewhat
as far as biology is concerned. Or really at all. It wasn't supposed to be many movies.
similar to the discharge from a bombardier beetle, though it is far more impressive. Scans indicate that
Fuck yeah, Bombardier Beetle. We got a job for you.
discharge from a bombardier beetle, though it is far more impressive.
But you're getting it all over yourself, Bombardier Beetle. You want to get it all over her. That's what we're paying you for.
Scans indicate that blasters possess a network of specialized organs dedicated to the synthesis, storage, and controlled release of a propellant. The binary chemical components, one appearing to be a hypergolic fluid rich in methane-based compounds, and the other an oxidizing agent, are segregated within two distinct glandular bladders. These chemicals remain inert when isolated.
Oh, two bladders. Is one especially for her?
Thereby preventing premature detonation within the blaster's body. Notably, blaster
One bladder, just because everything needs a bladder, and to get rid of it. The other secondary bladder is for our own entertainment.
anatomy appears to exhibit a single rear opening, similar to a cloaca in birds and reptiles. Upon
I knew it. They had the stomach vagina, and now they have the vagina asshole.
the initiation of flight,
Well, I guess it's the pee hole asshole here on the flying graboids.
precisely measured quantity of the aforementioned chemicals is pumped from their respective storage bladders into a kind of mixing chamber located just above this cloaca, initiating a violent exothermic reaction, strategically released by the cloacal sphincter. This controlled detonation generates a
Sphincter will always be a funny word. And there's many sphincters in the body, but when we hear sphincter, we of course think the butthole sphincter. Nature knows that segregation is effective. A fun observation from Captain Miserable. As Bergsnake points out, this is something Jim Norton has been after. He would like a human with a cloaca. I wonder if Mrs. Norton still has her foreskin. I imagine that's something that Jim Norton would really want. Well, maybe he does. You need one person with a foreskin in order to dock.
tremendous force, launching the creature high into the air. All of this occurs within a near instant, and still the timing between the release of the chemicals and the opening of the sphincter is
I think I do want that surgery to have my butthole fart such power that I can get into the air.
absolutely crucial. If the fluid ignites too early, the creature risks self-destruction, and if the sphincter opens too late, the opportunity for effective thrust is lost.
Okay, there's some important things I need to know about my rocket butthole, because I could just explode my asshole out. Which, also, a little safety message for those lighting farts. Be careful, because I did blow the ass out of my pants one time. It was chili that I got. What was that fucking place? But huge fire reaction from that fart. I've never had one that big before or since I blew the ass out of my pants from chili of... What was that restaurant? There was one in Frederick. There was one in Laurel, Maryland.
Of course, in order to deal with the repeated stress of this explosive process, the cloaca and its associated structures are incredibly resilient, reinforced with complex segments of calcium, able to absorb shock and evenly distribute impact forces throughout the body. This sophisticated...
You thought that you got holes in your underwear quickly before A. Smith. Now that your butthole can be used as a propulsion system, you gotta go through even more underwears.
Internal machinery allows the blaster not only to survive its own biology, but to thrive. As many humans have already discovered, this makes it one of the most formidable predators on Earth. Eventually, as another nutritional threshold is reached, a blaster will restart the graboid life cycle.
Oh, Captain Miserable, did you do it without pants on? I think I've always had pants on. Even underwear, when you're lighting farts, is a bit close to the flesh. As he's pointing out, it burnt the shit out of his ass hair the first time he lit one. Didn't even know that he had ass hair at the time. Became very aware in that instant. Yeah, I do... I've never remember lighting a fart without 2 layers to help protect my asshole from the flame.
Anew.
Not the only time in my life I've had to protect my asshole from flamers. Surprisingly, here in somewhere... Well, do you call a bisexual man a flamer? Because I've had multiple couples interested in me, and that's where it's like, oh, no, not that type of open relationship. If we're all going to be doing stuff, both of us to her, but not you and me. Tap out, pass. No, cannot get in on DPing your girlfriend because you want to trade off as the lucky Pierre, you and me. That's a hard no. Actually, it's a flaccid no from me.
Though in a much more mundane manner. Blasters appear to be the only phase capable of laying eggs, which will hatch directly into a brand new graboid. But now, dear traveler, let us...
Rudolph Valentino. That's why I got so much more tail in Southern California. Southern California is just gay in general. Coming over here to somewhere where I'm less of a man, it's the... vibes they are the gay men are picking up on it. It's like no, I'm just a Southern Californian. I am not a gay man. I can see how you can get those mixed up, because on the scale of how manly of a man are you in Southern California, like I was a 7 or 8, maybe even a 9. Here in somewhere I'm definitely below a 5, which is why the gaydar goes off of like, oh, you are definitely not a manly man. But I am in Los Angeles. But you got to believe me.
Take a figurative step back, and also a literal one. We've documented much of the individual phases of the graboid life cycle, but there are much bigger questions that we must address. For example, what exactly is a graboid?
Some scientists in this dimension have suggested classification under subphylum Annelida. However, this genus, Caderus, is almost certainly unrelated to worms for several reasons. Segmented jaws and mouth tentacles.
Very likely, Tracy, that I would be a San Francisco 10. That's actually, I need to be specific on each part of Los Angeles. West Hollywood, yes, absolutely, certainly. I was like a 9.5 on the manly scale. You get elsewhere, kind of like Burbank, more of an 8.5.
But also the presence of an internal, semi-rigid support system.
Excellent point. In fact, this latter point deserves its own consideration. You see, members of Caderus don't possess a true endoskeleton, and they are not vertebrates. Yet without some internal support, they would likely collapse under their own weight. To understand their unique framework, we need look no...
Rainey called it an exoskeleton, no endoskeleton to be had.
Further than a variant of this species that has, to date, only been observed in...
I've never heard anyone use a boner joke talking about how it's an exoskeleton until it gets inside of you. I want to give you an endoskeleton. The wordplay's not quite there yet. I don't think I need Duke Phillips to full-on admonish me for it. He could see something is there with that exoskeleton, endoskeleton boner joke. It's just, it needs a little bit of tweaking.
In Africa, it would require much more time than we currently have to fully explore this potential subspecies and the ways it differs from the individuals observed in Nevada. Suffice it to say that the African variant of Chaidaris provides compelling evidence of a more advanced internal structure within the genus. Additionally, the presence of a clearly defined internal skeleton marks a fairly significant divergence from the
As much of a man as Aaron Emholt likes to be, his little dainty way of picking up everything with his fingertips. Grab it like this, which you would think would be more gay because it's like you're jerking off the cup that your liquid's in. But no, this is less gay than this, Mr. Imholt. Every time he goes to pick up a drink, I cannot stop looking at his dainty little hand and finger.
American counterpart, which anchors its robust musculature not to a skeletal system at all per se, but to a central, semi-flexible ridge of calcium carbonate, not unlike that of a cuttlefish.
Perhaps this cuttlebone could shed some light on their family tree.
That is very possible, but it is interesting that the African graboid's skeleton-like structure more closely parallels the development.
This isn't a Steel Toe Week. That'll be back next week, the St. Cloud Moron Show. Actually, a debut of Flat Broke Love, Gino and Keanu, tomorrow. Looking forward to chatting about that, because Gino is having a breakdown. I don't think he's as popular of a subject to talk about, but the Clippers definitely picked up on it. Both Doom and Stallion 19 put together some clips of Gino where I was like, okay, thank you guys. I don't need to do as much work. I do have some clips I made myself, and Spurgsnake will be joining to talk about Gino and Keanu's Flat Broke Love tomorrow. Drugged in April, way hotter than Steel Toe April. And actually, Drugged in April currently, I imagine that's what we're calling her currently. She's living at the Recadas. So Drugged in April is looking much more healthy as Drugged in April than she was as Steel Toe April. Krusty the Clown, a Steel Toe 10, also a man. Krusty the Clown is a man wherever he goes. Thanks for dropping by, Corn Diff.
Of vertebrates, optimizing their body plan to accommodate a more agile and aggressive hunting strategy, perhaps a necessary adaptation to the more challenging prey found in the African environment. Does this mean that the African variety could be descended from those found in North America, or is it a case of split lineage?
So I guess we're getting into Trimmers 4 and 5 with the Africanized graboids, like the Africanized bees back in the 1990s, who would sting the ever-living shit out of you.
It could take years to find out, and we simply do not have that kind of time. What I can tell you is that all members of this genus exhibit a defined...
It must be 5:40. He just does not have the time.
...and familiar cardiopulmonary system. They respirate the same nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere through their lungs and exhibit a closed circulatory system pumped by a relatively traditional heart.
Everything we've seen so far seems to rule out not only vertebrate and annelid classification, but arthropods as well.
Indeed, it's very...
Thank you, A. Smith. He's looked into this graboid biology a little before I have. So the two maturing species of the graboids, the Africanized ones, have an extra bone in their ankle, which, once again, is why I thought that the flying ones would have a spring jump rather than a rocket jump. But I'm going to look into that research, if we can get rocket assholes into humans. We all want flight. That's something that we've imagined since kids. We've just never thought about powering our asshole to help us get off the ground initially.
Possible that the genus Chaidaris is entirely unrelated to any other major lineage on this planet. More study will be needed to determine this conclusively. Now, however, we turn to a major biological obstacle these creatures must overcome. As a sheer result of their size and locomotive abilities,
Yeah. That's great. Now we're actually getting on to tomorrow's subject right now. Sci-Fi Safari had fun talking about the graboids, but me in the chat really do enjoy talking about how Gino has become Fredo from The Godfather. After his wedding, Cumia Corleone gave him a kiss and said goodbye. So that is not a good sign. He was supposed to give him the kiss of death before Gavin McInnes came in and said, none of you make money, you're all fired, goodbye.
Graboids require an immense amount of energy. Paired with what we've seen of the Shrieker's reproductive rate and the
Unfortunately,
Blaster's...
Jimmy the Greek was fired over his observation of the Africanized people he was talking about. Damn it, I was trying to find another word that wasn't people, because Jimmy the Greek did speak of people kind of like, yeah, let's not get into what Jimmy the Greek said, so I myself do not get canceled. Oh, Ingwe Malmenstein, that is kind of like a Shuli illustration from Sci-Fi Safari Doctor here. Yeah, I see it. Shuli needed to pick up something since he's been a non-practicing stand-up comedian for a long time. Actually, I did get some inside info that Shuli I think he was hosting a showcase not long ago. I don't know if he was advertising that, but I saw some comedians posting some pictures with Shuli at a showcase, and it was like, oh, look at him. He's starting to combat me accusing him of no longer being a stand-up.
lineage on this planet. More study will be needed to determine this conclusively. Now, however, we turn to a major biological obstacle these creatures must overcome. As a sheer result of their size and locomotive abilities, graboids require an immense amount of energy.
I do have to start up a Rumble page. I've noticed over here on StreamYard. Well, actually, it's thanks to watching Gino clips. I think he's using StreamYard, and he was able to connect Rumble to his StreamYard. So I do believe I can do that. I was just ignorant, thinking I couldn't do it. It's just a couple of extra steps. So I do need to get in on that. Ingwe Malmenstein's rocket asshole is fueled by Taco Bell. Problem is that there is a lot of fecal matter off with that rocket. When I had my chili, which I wish I could remember what place it was in Laurel and Frederick, Maryland, that made me blast a hole through my ass while lighting that fart. But there was no fecal matter in that one. I'm a little worried about the Taco Bell fuel for the rocket asshole.
Paired with what we've seen of the Shrieker's reproductive rate and the Blaster's propulsion mechanism, the need for a hyper-efficient metabolism is clear. Even so, for these creatures, bouts of extreme activity such as hunting must be broken up by long periods of torpidity, a kind of dormancy that allows them to digest and recover equilibrium. This also helps to explain why sightings, though notable when they occur, are relatively infrequent.
I must ask, if they require
Luigi Greenberg, we're almost done with the graboid biology, and unfortunately, they are an asexual being. There are no ropey loads that are shot by the graboids, so that's something that we now know. Asexual, no ropey loads.
Such a high amount of food intake? Why are they found in such sparsely populated areas? How do they survive?
Well, I propose that they are not. Indeed, it seems likely that the worldwide graboid population is dwindling rapidly. Local documentaries indicate a somewhat overzealous pursuit of potential food, even after having recently fed. This alone could hint at a deep-rooted starvation threat, that every feeding opportunity must be seized, as the interval until the next meal could be dangerously prolonged. If this hypothesis is true...
Oh, good point, Ingwe Malmenstream. That the rocket asshole is giving us some ropey fecal matter loads. I totally missed that. The ropey loads are not made of jism today. They are made of the poopy.
And graboids are truly struggling to find adequate sustenance in their native environments. It could more fully explain their sparse sightings and potentially nomadic lifestyle, drifting from one location to another in an ever-escalating search for food.
It would seem that our visit to this
They're drifters and the last of their species. Coming up on Trimmers 9, we get it from the Trimmers' point of view.
mention was well timed.
Indeed. In terms of this Earth's history, the time to observe these fascinating creatures in their natural habitat may be drawing to a...
That is a great theory, Nimrob. Swimmers getting that extra little bit of boost from a fart, an ass propeller, that would be... well, now I'm starting to picture them like with the meat spin wiener, getting that propeller going all the way down the swimming path.
Clothes. What fortune to be able to study them so closely. Alas, dear traveler, because of this, we must now take great care to return these abducted specimens to their native soils. Don't worry, we'll make sure there are no humans in the vicinity, at least for now. Manta, chart a course for the subject of our next study.
That was the finale of the first one, wasn't it? Where he keeps running all the way to the cliff and it just kept on going like the Wile E. Coyote versus the Roadrunner.
Until then, our dear traveler, feel free to take a brief rest. When you're ready, tap here to begin our next adventure.
Brace yourselves. Beginning ascent in 3.
Thank you for that biology lesson. Something of a zoologist, but with fictional species. He does just released several videos on the xenomorphs. I've got to check out the rest of those. He couldn't fit them into one video because there is a lot more about the xenomorphs out there than there are about the graboids. Michael Phelps would eat 12 cans of beans a day during training. Captain Miserable, that is something that he did not reveal. That's something, we got some inside information to help get our fart rocket power going underwater. And you don't need to eat as much for underwater. You just need the air to help prepare you. Where getting our rocket asshole out in real life, that does take some doing. The Load Runner. Thank you for that zinger, Johnny Blaze. Oscar Mayer Meat Spin. You spin me right. I remember back in the day talking to buddies about how knowing what meat spin is doesn't make you gay, but knowing that for Christmas they put a little Santa hat on top of the wiener, that does make you gay. And more than one of us were aware of the Christmas variation of meatspin.com. So a little bit shorter of a main segment. I only pulled one, for today. And let's go on, get to the second segment, going over to TikTok to check out some beings from latent places. We've seen them a couple of months back, and they're telling us about the dong crawlers. Watch out for the dong crawlers out here on Halloween. They are after your dong. Actually, they are not. They themselves are a dong, which is, once again, giving me some great ideas for some porno horror movies. Everything just relates back to porno. Maybe I should just abandon my dreams of going back into Hollywood and just get right into the puppet porn and the horror porn, because I have a few ideas that I think we can get off the ground. And we won't even need a rocket asshole to get them off the ground. So that is also a plus. So a few more chats coming in. People are excited about the dong crawlers. Ingwe Malmenstein pointing out the Taco Bell franchises in Paris up 65% during the Olympics. And they weren't even the only restaurant still in existence, like we saw in Demolition Man. I think it's gay if you choke on the Santa hat. That is the gayest of all of the meat spin onlookers.
Grand Island, Nebraska are reporting bell-like anthropods reversing their field crops late into the night, colloquially being referred to by locals as dime crawlers. The origin of these strange creatures is currently unknown. Dime crawlers do not appear to pose.
Some people call them Johns. Some people call them dong crawlers.
Any physical threat to humans at this point in time. Dime crawlers have simply been observed wandering through the fields at a leisurely pace, stopping only to emit a deafening chime in unison with one another at sporadic.
Sounds like they're just crawlers. We have not observed the dong crawlers leaving the ground and leaping.
Intervals.
But they are very annoying with the fact that they like to sing dong, dong in unison.
Exactly 2.4 seconds after each time crawler chime, a meteoroid enters the Earth's atmosphere with a radiant near the constellation of Perseus. The significance of this correlation is currently under investigation, along with its relation to nearby comet 109P/Swift-Tuttle and its accompanying Perseid meteor shower, which will peak on August 12th. As this date approaches, local officials are making a
Doug Bell's family, a great observation by Nimrob, always with the solid observations, as Captain Miserable is wondering if the dong crawlers are related to the floor Newports, which in Christina Catalano's case, they are. In this case, these dong crawlers, not related to the Newport floor crawlers.
concerted effort to distribute earplugs to nearby residents. This has been a public service announcement from the Ministry of Latent Places.
Crabs and dong crawlers. Those are both things that can be found in the Catalano house. There's a few more here from Latent Places. I didn't pick out any other ones. And I think we're going to call this one an early one after we get... Well, let's see what's going on with this one. Root people. I am interested in these root people. So we'll check out the root people, get on to the clown lady of the day, and then it's a Tuesday. I still have to go to work after this. Another reason why I do these solo shows on Tuesday. I do have a hard out. I also have a hard in. It's really not easy to get a flaccid in.
A vast network of sentient groups has been discovered under the Garden Maze at Luray Caverns in Virginia. The business has undergone recent media scrutiny due to the unexplained disappearance of multiple patrons while in its ornamental garden. Ministry agents have confirmed that the nearby...
Now, those are some smart creatures to make people disappear in the hedge maze. Because people, they get lost in the hedge maze all the time. It takes days to find them again, and they already been eaten by the root people.
The caverns extend underneath the maze, creating its own series of labyrinths about 200 feet directly beneath the tourist attraction.
I haven't seen Doug Bell's podcast in quite a while. He is, like all of Jimmy Norton's new characters, the original version of Chip Chipperson is very similar to the original version of Doug Bell, of just a stand-up comedian who is fucking awful in all ways.
Growing from the floors, walls, and ceilings of this hidden cave system are exposed groups that resemble an expansive group of writhing humanoids. Although root people appear to be comprised of individual bodies, they are thought to be a single interconnected predatory organism. Forensic remains indicate that...
Just like trees. That's why I'm telling you that the trees will kill us all one day, because their root system, they are all communicating with each other at the same time in a forest. Once they figure out, well, they are figuring out, trees are putting out little scents and little things. Don't reproduce. End yourself.
People fuel their growth by extracting moisture and mineral content from biological tissue. Internal documents obtained by ministry agents suggest an attempt to conceal the garden maze disappearances from the public. This has been a public service announcement from the Ministry of Latent Places.
Looks like one of those people were a friend of Gavin McInnes. I did not see the one that was flashing the Proud Boys symbol, but Ingwe Malmenstein certainly did see one of them flashing the Proud Boys symbol. I totally missed that one. But they are everywhere, Gavin McInnes fans of such. At least it's damn near an hour into the video when I start stumble fucking over my words. Oh, why don't you have sound? Do I have to refresh you to get sound? Well, for some reason, this one doesn't have sound. We have Mother of Hades, This is a self
Oh
identifying
my God!
goth lady, but goth and clown do there was a thin line between a lot of them, and this is our clown lady of the day, as she is.
Oh my God!
Cassie cake.
Oh my God.
Those into the fetish of mukbangs, she's just teasing you here. She tore up the cake, and it is messy. I'm actually finding her with cake all in her hair and everywhere hotter than the actual mukbang that she would have been doing. So, Mother of Hades, we have one other one from her, and this one does have some copyrighted music, so this one is silent on purpose, unlike that last one. I don't know where the sound is. I can't fiddle fuck with it all day. Are those, I think those are some real boobies. She's just got them pushed up so tight in that leather outfit that they kind of look like fake boobies. She is going along with the beat of the music, so unfortunately, we don't see her dancing skills, but we do see her big chest skills. Thank you, Mother of Hades, for that. Yeah, a bunch of those are makeup videos, and that was just a little taste of Mother of Hades as we are getting into the Halloween mood with a little, I was going to say xenobiology, but it's just cryptobiology that we were given from Sci-Fi Safari. A little creepy species, the dong crawlers from the Bureau of Latent Places, and a nice scary clown girl. You can call yourself a goth girl. They're both accurate. Don't fix her too much, Nimrob, then I won't be into her. You best only fix. Well, look at her. She is. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. That's my opinion. She is having a great old time. You try to fix her. She's gonna bite your dick off. I don't know why that got a reaction out of me. A little nibbling is indeed nice, but a full-on bite, no bueno. I do not have the butt plug in. It's the one that my girlfriend got me years ago. It's not really one that you can sit on. Got it more for play and easy access to pull out, rather than one that you can just have in all day. There are different types, and different types for men and women, because the man one tickles the prostate. So make sure you buy the proper butt plug for the proper occasion. There are some for people with prostates and one for natural born ladies. Fuck yeah, Doug Bell. Well, that is all for today. I will be back tomorrow. Spurgsnake will be joining me for Gino and Keanu's Flat Broke Love. And we'll see how much viewership that gets, because Gino isn't very popular, but he is having a meltdown in what should be the absolutely happiest time of his life, but instead his professional life is a 2 and his personal life is a 9. I should have had that Baba Booey clip ready to go. I definitely have it on the board.
My professional life is like at a 9, and my personal life is at like a 2.
Exact opposite for Gino Bisconti. He is breaking down. He had a hell of a run on Compound Media, not bringing a single paying customer in, but being allowed to do his thing for 8 years. I was on a show no one watched for 4 years, so I do get where you're coming from, Gino. You're gonna have to. I heard, I believe it was the Potato, good old Cardiff Electric, telling Gino that he needs to go and push carts at the Costco. But we have come to the conclusion here he should be greeting people at the door at the Costco. He could be selling samples well, not selling samples, giving out samples there, somewhere where he's out in front and he can take that blabbermouth and put it to good use. Whereas pushing carts, it's not using his blabbermouth talent. Carl Hamburger, it's funny when he says, Gino, very divisive. I think it's like a Kumia derangement syndrome of thinking that Gino is anything other than other than an annoying blabbermouth. So, yeah, it seems if you're too much of a fan of Kumia, you're like, oh, and his band of misfits are fun as well. No, I highly disagree. I've went over many a time analyzing his versus Artie Lang's use of the N-word, and it's not a joke when Gino says it. He doesn't craft a joke. He just says the word. Welcome to Costco. I love you, says Mark Bass. Jerry Lahane, not funny. I do not find him funny. And there are a lot of people that don't. Carl Hamburger mentioned it, that people thanked him. Thank you for telling me Gino's here. I'm going to skip it. I turned on this little piggy, like, Gino's here. He actually does have input into the steel toe world, but it's Gino. But he had two quite sizable breakdowns. Well, one sizable breakdown, one just muttery breakdown. We'll have them both tomorrow on Flat Broke Love, Gino and Keanu. Dirty Dalish will be joining me on Thursday. I'm introducing her to Tales from the Crypt. I was initially going to do one episode from season 2 through 7. 7 stinks. I could have done the animated episode, but it was pretty far along when I was watching the live action ones. I was like, I'll send you a live action one eventually from season 7, and I just never did. So we'll be talking about 5 episodes of Tales from the Crypt with Dirty Dalish, who is checking it out for the very first time. So see how she likes the ones that I have pulled out. A variety of different episodes. Gino is funniest on mute. I absolutely agree, Ingwe Malmenstein. He's a carnival barker, yes. Maybe he could be a crowd warm-up guy. You don't necessarily need to be funny to warm up a crowd that's getting ready to see Wheel of Fortune. You just need them to get pumped up and really excited about that. So, yeah, we'll be diving in to what Gino Bisconte has been giving us in the past week. Next week, I've got I think TikTok Around the Clock will be back. I initially said I'd drop this show, but the amount of prep for TikTok Around the Clock, if there's one show that's going to be dropped, that one, it's the most prep intensive of everything I do. So it's just logical to put that one on hold and do this one with very little prep work. Gino did Quizzo in Delaware. We'll get all into Gino tomorrow. We'll see if he has the same type of drawing power that Steel Toe does. I know he doesn't. We'll see if he keeps going through this breakdown. This is like a very schizophrenic, a very mood swingy time of Gino's life, marrying a beautiful young woman who looks just like Dylan Mulvaney without the penis, and he's been fired from his most beloved job of all time. I do love me some TikTok. The only reason why I'm why it seems like I hate it is well, I guess I do have a love-hate relationship with it. I should weigh Dalish before I have her on. If she weighs less than a box of Tic Tacs, no show for her. She has been working on gaining weight. Been doing some streams, eating some hamburgers in a bikini, just like that fantastic ad campaign from Carl's Jr. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this one. Jerry Lahane's favorite lolcow Steel Toe will be back to his coverage next week. Coming up in a few weeks, we're going to add James Rolfe to the rotation. I can't wait to go over that book. I'm interested in reviewing James Rolfe's book. it might be a Rumble exclusive when we get to the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. Very diligent about taking those down. Yes, Mark Bass. There is plenty of evidence that she does not have a penis. You can go to Dirty Dalish's Twitter account. She has an OnlyFans and a little preview on Pornhub. So she has a decent amount of evidence that there is no penis there. Dalish did mention possibly doing some clown makeup. Haven't seen that yet. Maybe we will sometime in the future. That is all from me today. The little plugs for Nimrob as well can confirm. No penis there. Gino's wife. Can we confirm that Keanu doesn't have... I see, because I was actually talking about Dylan Mulvaney without a penis. Mark Bass, she also has an OnlyFans, does Keanu. I don't know exactly what she does over there, if it's just bikini shots, or if she does get dirty like Dalish. So thank you all for joining. I'm going to give a plug to my channel, which you are currently watching. Nimrob having some trouble with the notifications. I've noticed that as well. Some channels which I have notifications on doesn't send them out there. That's all we can do is tell YouTube that I hit the like button, I hit the subscribe button, I hit the notification bell. What's up, YouTube? Members only content. One coming up on Monday will be a watch along with a shitty movie off of the Fanboy Flicks free movies. I'm monetized, so there are super chats, the memberships. You can become a rope shooter for $5 a month, and later on in November we will have an episode where we check out some slow adult speed dating. The slow adult speed dating segment went on for a while. It's actually been months since I've seen it, so it'll be brand new to me when we do that bonus episode a few weeks in November. Coming up, some fun November content, some new stuff here on the channel. And remember, as I said about tomorrow, it is Gino and Keanu's Flat Broke Love, and gonna sign TikTok is where you sign up for the slow adult speed dating. We've got a few people, Callie, Malish, Wiz. There are a few hosts that do the slow adult speed dating, and we will see that in a bonus episode. 17 straight minutes of it, and I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all for joining. Now feel free to go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye for now.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day.
Places all. All join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LS, MFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right, dear honey, with the right and left date. Grand right and left, around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LS, MFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.